Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 3 of What If Naruto Became the Shadow of Konoha. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in social media platform, and also guys, stay tuned for the rest of what ifs coming your way, which I hope that you guys will enjoy. And remember, if you're new, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. Yes, I have 3 channels, Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. And yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode start? The intro. So, the last spot we left off, as Naruto started his first week of ANBU, it was horrible. Tiger, a man that said that was down here, in the 4th Gradational War, so he did not know Naruto as a hero. He was Naruto's Kinjutsu partner, no Taijutsu, no Genjutsu, just Kinjutsu alone. The man was severe, he wasn't tender or soft, he didn't hold back. It was like he was trying to kill Naruto. But the more it go on, the more Naruto started to get entwined with things. And yet there was Snake, under the mask it was Uncle, who tried to put him through seduction and torture, telling him that the #1 death of Shinobis was Kunoichi's, and if he couldn't control his emotions, well, he would die out there very soon. He also had a perverted partner, as the both of them were assigned to watch a Hokage, and yet he was using his Byakugan to look over towards where the hot spring was, as he told Naruto a secret. Well, all Hyugas are perfect, as that made Naruto think about Neji. So that is how Naruto's first week went, after some interrogation from Ibiki, who forced him not to say his name, because Naruto slipped up and said it more than once. And not to mention Inoichi tried to go into his mind, but yet, the fox shocked Inoichi into the hospital. As Naruto went back there, as Ino remembered him, as she was under the butterfly mask. At least this one had some sense of humor, she thought to herself, as she wondered who was under that mask. Until the time finally came for Naruto to embark on his first mission. Yes, his first mission. As Butterfly was none other than Ino as they made their way out. Ino pulled off her mask, as she couldn't believe that it was Naruto. As she was so curious, wondering who this guy was, and it was Naruto after all. And the others were Shikamaru and Sai. Well, everyone knew that it was Sai despite not taking off his mask. So with that, they infiltrate the town as they were supposed to take out some military groups. Some factions that want to bring back their groups, as Naruto and Ino pretend to be a couple going around. Naruto wasn't used to it yet, so there was a lot of complaining on Ino's part. Ino had a type, so it was quite hard for her to pinpoint anyone that she actually liked, as she seemed to be upset at Shikamaru as well, as she asked him if he was really gonna go out with Temari. He barely even knew her, as he told her that he didn't like her that way. Shikamaru was talking to her Ino, but she ignored him. Seems like something happened between them. The mission then finally started as he guessed the room. They went down there to take out the enemies as some of them escaped, as Naruto went after him. It was then that the fox started to influence Naruto the more. He drove the kunai down. Ino called out his name, as Naruto turned towards her with a bloodthirsty grin. She could feel the dark aura as she stepped back, but he then finally snapped back to reality. As she was afraid, she tried to make light conversations while going back, but she was keeping her distance because she was afraid. As he apologized though. When they arrived, Naruto went outside as he started to puke. As the fox was messing with him, the bloodlust, the feeling to go in there and rip them apart despite they were dead, the terrifying feeling that he hated. Shikamaru and the others thought that it was because, well, it was his first time seeing gore like this before, but it was not that. But the scene was horrific. So yeah, that was basically what we left off. You guys can switch across and please check it out for yourself. So this to begin this new episode. When Naruto and the group returned back to Konoha, Naruto felt like something had changed. The past and the present Hokage, their monuments looking down at him. He dipped his head in shame. Crew, we need to return and report to the Hokage, said Butterfly as he did not move. Crow, she said. But Owl saw the distress that Crow was going under. It's alright, Butterfly. I'll report to the Hokage. Go home. As Owl jumped away in the darkness of the night, both Squid and Butterfly stood there for a moment. If you need someone to talk to, I'm always here, she said. She more than anyone knew it was easier to destroy a mind than to heal one. With that, both her and Squid vanished into the night, as Naruto stood at the entrance unmoving. Pathetic. It would be easy to assume, given that he had 90 fox inside of him, he would have no problem with killing. That was the thoughts of the villagers when he was younger after all. But they couldn't be more wrong. For most of his life, Naruto was able to divide the world into good and evil. Evil, what the fox wanted. Good, what the fox did not wanted. The fox snorted. The world is not that simple. Naruto hated to admit that that was right. The careful wall that he had created to put evil and good on opposite side was crumbling away. The boundaries were becoming blur, and they were mixing together. In one night he snapped and became the rare monster that people knew that he could become. We were always a monster. I'm not, said Naruto. Did you not want to run the blood like silk through your hands? Did you not want to taste the flesh on your teeth? Did you not want to ravish the woman and claim her as yours? No, that was you, said Naruto. I cannot control your body, the fox said. No, said Naruto. A normal person would have found it strange for ANBU to be standing there, talking to himself. But the night patrol just shrugged and moved on. Everyone knew that ANBUs are insane. That is what made them so dangerous. You cannot fool yourself for any longer. I will forever be a part of you. I am your darkness. I am your anger, your lust, your despair. I am you. Meanwhile, Ino tried to be quiet as she entered her apartment. But it was futile, as she found her roommate sitting in the living room, going over her medical charts and reports. In these ungodly hours of the night, Ino was quite convinced that Sakura was one of the most underappreciated person in Konoha. After all, a girl had to get her beauty sleep, but here she was, going over medical charts. As Sakura looked up, "How did the mission go?" she said, out of habit. "Alright," Ino said. But Ino hesitated a bit. Sakura put down the chart. As she knew, despite their petty rivalry in the past, the both of them had always been best friends. What happened? Ino sighed as she walked into the bathroom as she turned the light on. Had a new recruit on the team. It was basically his first kill. Ino came back into the bathroom brushing her hair. Her eyes were distant. She was remembering the first time that she had killed. After being knocked out. In her last mission, she had woken up. Her body was bound and sore. Not to mention she has been completely stripped of all of her clothes. She had lost her first time to an enemy ninja. She had been so angry, so furious. Without even a single hand sign, she invaded his mind. She took away all of his happy memories. She shredded his mind to pieces over and over again. He had fell down dead right on top of her, blood pooling from his eyes and his ears. It had been her first kill, and even till this day, she did not regret it. What the man took from her, that took her longer to overcome. Sakura had been a pillar of strength for her. Ino swept through the kitchen as she started to search for a bottle of sake. "Have you seen Naruto lately?" to Sakura. It seemed like a random question, but she knew that Ino was a gossip. But Sakura had seen him lately, as a small tiny blush came on her cheek. Ino snickered. "I don't mean that way. But it's not a bad view." Ino, Sakura screeched. And suddenly, there were two small girls again, at each other's house, talking about the future and boys they would marry. As Ino poured a cup of sake and placed it in front of Sakura, and sat on the couch with the bottle. "It's not until recently I look at him. He has issues. I never would have imagined. He always seems so..." "Naruto," Sakura said, finishing the sentence. Ino just realized that even through the psychiatric evaluation, he never really talked about anything. He talked about his training, all the week went and everything, but he never talked about himself. Never. But Sakura knew the real him. He blind people with that smile of his, so that you can't see past it. He refused to talk about what really matters. Ino huffed. "That is man for you. They don't know what to do about the real feelings." Then she rolled her eyes. "Don't even get me started on Shikamaru." "Or Sasuke," Sakura whispered. A strain in her heart. Ino gave a soft smile. "I know what it feels like." "What does?" Heartbreak, Ino said, as she twirled her hair. She'd always thought that she'd grow up and get married to Shikamaru. After all, they were arranged to marry. Even her crush on Sasuke was a rebellion phase as she was trying to break her fate. "I realize now what you felt for Sasuke." was more than what I ever felt about him. For me, it was only a crush, but you truly loved him, Ino said. It hurts, heartbreak, and it may never heal. The both of them sat in silence as Ino drank a large swig of sake. She then looked towards Sakura. What's with that look? You have a thing for Naruto, don't you? Sakura bit her bottom lip as she drank some of the sake. It's not worth it, she said. He's really busy with some stuff right now, and I don't want to become another Hinata. What happened to Hinata? Ino asked curiously. Nothing. He hasn't talked to her since the pain incident, and that was almost a year ago. It's not that he has become busy. When you want to talk to someone, he will. But it's like he's avoiding her. I don't think that he knows what to do when it comes towards these kind of things. He even still can't fathom why I do things for him, like get him ramen or even cooking breakfast. He can dish out so much love and become the most caring person in the world that it will shock you. But when that person ever returned that feelings towards him, he doesn't really understand what to do. After months of avoiding her, I think Hinata finally got the message. I don't think they have seen each other since the war. That's Naruto after all. He craves attention, but he doesn't actually know what to do once he gets it. Poor Hinata, Ino said, shaking her head. I don't think I can do it, Sakura said. I don't think I can be pushed away ever again. Ino could understand. She had her own insecurities to be in control of everything. To be in control of most situations in her life, her relationship, how things went. She was always obsessed over things. Meanwhile, Shikaku headed toward the kitchen. He grumbled to himself when he couldn't find any bottle of sake. Despite being one of the smartest, his wife always got the better of him by hiding his sake as he poured himself a cup of water. Right when he was about to drink the water, there was a click, but he did not get up or even move. He already knew who it was, and besides, he was too lazy. Didn't you move out because we were too troublesome? Shikaku asked, as he found his son clicking the shoji board. Choji doesn't please Shikamaru as he took a drag of his cigarette. The wrap of tobacco was the main concern for his mother Yoshino. As far as Yoshino regarded things, the cigarette was a worse way for a shinobi to die, but Shikaku knew that it was much worse. But Shikamaru had found it too troublesome and moved out. Shikaku sat down. How's Choji, he said. His clan has been developing a new food pill, so he's been busy. As he set up the board, Shikamaru made the first move. You were on the couch, said Shikamaru. A slight argument with your mother, said Shikaku. When Shikamaru moved out, Yoshino thought he would find it too troublesome to live out there on his own and he would come back. But he did not. She wants another child. Troublesome, both of them said at the same time. Aren't you too old for that, said Shikamaru. Shikaku chuckled. It was a compliment for a ninja to be considered old after all. Your mother don't think so. Shikamaru shook his head. The last thing he wanted to do was think about his parents that way. Their conversation devolved into silence, as the only thing could be heard was a click of the board. Shikaku knew that Shikamaru returned home when he was unsettled. There was a final click as Shikaku looked at his defeat. He slapped his hands on his knees before he got to his feet. Good night, son, he said, as Shikamaru just looked down towards the board. Meanwhile, with Sai, he was looking at the first image that he painted, his brother Shin, the first person he ever loved. His brother meant the world to him, and his death hurt Sai greatly. Images of all those that Sai came to care about was all around him. Sakura was there. A large amount of cherry blossom petals were all around her. Naruto stood on top of the Hokage's monument, and he had on the Hokage's hat and robe. Sai smiled as he went to sleep. Time skip. Sunshine, sleepyhead. Naruto fell off the couch at a loud voice in his ear. He picked himself up as he had to rub his eyes. Uncle was in the kitchen, cooking with an apron on, with nothing underneath. Naruto was extremely confused. He looked around and found out that he was on someone's carpet floor. Naruto was extremely confused. There was stacks and stacks of porn books. I'm making breakfast, Uncle said. Right where Naruto was about to ask where and how the hell did he got here. Someone walked in. Stop torturing the kid, Kakashi said with a yawn. As Naruto froze, as he was wearing a towel around his waist, his mask fell on. Now he was confused, but he then looked towards the porn in the corner. Wait, you and Uncle? Naruto stuttered, as he was shocked to be here and to see the scene. It's a mutual arrangement, Uncle winked. I like sex, he likes sex. It works. As Uncle kept on cooking as Naruto sat there. She then placed the food on the table, as Naruto sniffed the pancake, eggs, sausages, and bacon. As Uncle pulled the apron off and started to eat, as Naruto averted his eyes, But the uncle did not care, she was here first. So she wasn't going to let a bashful teenager stop her from walking around naked. How did I get here, said Naruto. Kakashi brought you here, crying like a baby. He was in the area. So, how was your first mission? Naruto frowned. It happened, he said. I can see that. As Naruto looked down as he realized that he still had blood over him. As he remembered what happened, he picked himself up and rushed to the bathroom. As he slammed the door shut behind him, Kakashi reached up and pulled down his mask as he started to eat breakfast. Time skip. Aren't you glad that you were right? Our chakras are mixed. You're becoming more like me, kid. I'm not you, said Naruto. Oh? What other pleasure do you know that is better than bloodlust? That is better than killing. I refuse to become like you. You're already like me. You're a killer. Naruto did not have an answer to that. The door of the bathroom was open, as he was just sitting there as Kakashi came in. Get dressed, he said, as he threw Naruto his regular outfit. Walk with me, he said. Moments later, the both of them were walking through the streets of Konoha. The marketplace was booming and bustling. Children ran happily, as they were oblivious towards the real world, the chaos that was happening outside. They were happy, because Konoha was peaceful. Everything was happy and great. As Naruto followed Kakashi until they arrived towards the graveyard, and they stopped in front of the gravestones. One read, Obito, Uchiha, and Rain, Inuzaka. Kakashi looked towards the gravestone. He didn't say why they were here. Fresh flowers are there. As Kakashi, just watch. Minato sensei always knew the right words to say. Even if they weren't, what he said just turned right. Kakashi knew that Naruto had no one left. He lost his mother, father, a godparent. But he was there for him. But he continuously failed Naruto over and over again. He didn't even notice when Naruto became a man, because he was no longer a boy. Do you know how your father gained his nickname, Yellow Flash? Said Naruto. The fourth Hokage? Kakashi nodded. He did not blame Naruto for that. Naruto knew very little about Minato. He only met him once in his life after all. Finding out who his father was, it was a joy to hear that. But Naruto didn't really know the man, and there wasn't much other interactions. So, he didn't really focus too much on him. As Naruto racked his brain, but he knew. It was because of that special jutsu he had, right? The Flying Thunder God technique, said Kakashi. He developed it to end the Third Shinobi War. He killed thousands with that jutsu. So much so the rock ninja started to flee on sight. That was the order that was placed on his head. Naruto, a ninja's job is to kill, said Kakashi. Naruto clenched his fist. He knew that, of course. Facing your enemy on the battlefield and fighting to the death. But what happened a few nights ago was nothing but slaughter. Those in the meeting room never saw it coming. They got their throats slit. Their screams still fill his thoughts. The blood of the man that he ripped apart savagely with his kunai was still in his thoughts. It was sometime after Sensei became Hokage when he told me how he had regretted the people that he killed in the war. It was necessary, he had to protect the village and the people that was dear to him, but he still regretted it. But that regret, the responsibility, the nightmares, he wore them all. He bore through it with pride. That is what makes us human, Naruto. The sun was shining brightly on the two ninjas as they stood there, looking towards the names. Time skip. Naruto Uzumaki had to waste another day in bed. The curtains were drawn so tightly that his room was dark as the ANBU underground. He should get up and train or something, but he just lie there. It was a rule after every mission, ANBUs got a few days off, especially these ones, to maintain their sanity. The week that Tsunade gave Naruto off was becoming rather unproductive. Maybe it was because he was forced to take a break. He had nothing to do, and that left him to think, and he hated thinking. But now he found himself in the darkness of his bedroom. It wasn't coming out. Suddenly, his tattoo burned. As he got up confused at the glowing tattoo, he was supposed to be off duty, so he didn't know what was going on. Once it settled in his mind that Tsunade was calling him, he grabbed his uniform as he quickly got ready. He put on the crow mask, then he finally touched the tattoo. Tsunade raised the eyebrow as Naruto appeared, with his jacket on backwards. She sighed. I'm sorry to call you while you were off duty, but this is extremely important and dangerous, she said. What happened, said Naruto, as he prepared himself to meet Madara Uchiha in battle. After all, everyone knew that the most dangerous are always the first to be revived in some strange way to threaten the world once again. You may not be aware, but the stone is currently embroiled in a secret civil war. The southern sector has declared independence and is trying to break away from our country. Recently, one of our genuine teens had been assigned to a mission in the land of grass, and the stone military had snuck past our borders, snuck past a patrol, and tried to raid that village for supplies. They have captured our Jennings. Normally, they would ask for a ransom or something, or send a threat, but this group is unstable. I don't know what's gonna happen to them, she said. I'll do it, said Naruto. He didn't know the details, but he already committed himself. Just tell me where, he said. She felt strengthened by his confidence as she placed an X on the map on the table. The Jonin was able to send her some messages by one of his summons. They're currently being held in one of the bases in the southern area. You're the fastest that we have in ANBU, and we need an agent out there now. I will send your regular squad as backup, but you'll be in the field alone until they catch up. I understand, said Naruto. I'm leaving the objective at your discretion, she said. Normally, she wouldn't hand over so much power to her agent that was on his second mission. But she had no choice, and she knew that she could trust him with this task. There are no folders and no information. You're going into this blind. That is why I need you to scout the situation and your base. If the situation looks dire, do not hesitate to go in. I will deal with the fallout from any of your decisions. Don't worry, said Naruto as he grabbed the map. I promise I'll save them. Be careful, but he was already gone. Time skip, as Naruto was tucked in a tree as he watched the minor operation going on in front of him, in the large mountain. But it was just a front for the ninjas inside. He had created several clones, and he transformed into a normal-looking miner that would work in the hidden stone tunnels. He grabbed the pipeline and casually fell in line. Where did you come from? One of them asked, as he eyed Naruto up and down. Oh, I'm new. Couldn't find the bathroom, so I went in the trees. Oh, should have asked. These blasted ninjas will kill you quick if you do anything out of line. Naruto nodded as he copied what the man was doing and helped him lift the coal. He tried to find a way to ask what was going on, but he could not. It would make him look suspicious. So he settled for something else. I didn't think there would be so much ninja, he said, looking around. Things didn't used to be this way. Most of them have left because it's got too dangerous. Then why we're here, said Naruto. Same as you. Money is good, the miner said. Naruto was about to ask another question when a pair of ninjas walked past. When they were gone, the miner started to complain. I don't understand what they want, said Naruto, making a complaint of his own. Me neither, an old miner said. I just work. Why is it so hard to work and earn a living for your family without some ninjas sticking their nose into your business? Across from them, another miner stopped work. You know nothing, he said. Those ninjas, they're fighting against Tishikage for signing that peace treaty with the Fire Country. I'm all for it. I lost an uncle because of those ninja wars. Why should I make peace with the enemy? The older miner beside Naruto shook his head. When you get to my age, it doesn't matter who holds the power as long as you can find work. If making friends with some fire ninja prevent my son from getting caught up in some war, then why not? The other miner pulled away. We are people of the Earth Country. Our pride is like a mountain. We do not bow in the face of storms, especially not some fire ninja. Young folks. The elder miner said, You know nothing of war, he said with a shake of his head. I think he's right, said Naruto, as he added his 2 cents. Why hold on to a grudge? No one asks you, the young one said, spatting Naruto's feet. The older miner patted Naruto on the shoulder. During war, both sides go through burning crops. And it's us that don't get any food. Would you really want to see your family suffer for hunger? Because you want a war, to see people die out there for no reason. As Naruto had heard enough, so these people were rebelling, these ninjas over here. From the south rebel against Tishikage because he signed a peace treaty with Konoha. Well, if this is what their mindset was like, he couldn't allow them to keep on to the Jennings for so long. He had more pressure as he broke the shovel. Oh. Hey, where can I get another one of these? The elder miner pointed towards the entrance. Inside, there should be a storage room on the left. Watch out for the ninjas. Naruto nodded as he left the heated argument behind. With the broken shovel over his shoulder, he headed inside. He passed by the 2 ninjas guarding the entrance, but they kept an eye on him as he entered the supply room. There were some miners sitting and chatting, taking a break, as Naruto squeezed himself in a corner before he created a clone that made its way out with his new shovel to get some more information from the miners. As he stood there, he entered stage mode as he started to scan. As Naruto cursed in his mind, there was at least 100 ninja here. It was going to be hard to sneak around, but he tried to find a larger chakra than a civilian, something that was worthy of a normal, genuine student. He narrowed his senses even further and further and further, but then he finally found it. There was a small chakra signature, but what caught his attention was the smaller chakra signatures crawling all over him and above me. He then unfocused sage chakra as he turned himself into a stone ninja with a full face mask. With a combination of his smell, hearing, and his taste chakra, he avoided everyone as he went down his way. He was forced to stop. There was two ninjas at the door, where the Genins were hidden, as he wondered how he would bypass them. Kill them. The fox said to him, that was indeed one way if he couldn't get past them without being noticed or them sounding some alarm. But there had to be other options. Are you really going to stand here and act like some coward? As Naruto reminded himself that killing wasn't going to make him a demon fox. He was Naruto, this was his choice. And he was saving some kids, he had to. Naruto created a clone and handed him a kunai. As he commanded the clone to take the one on the left, he would take the one on the right. You're stalling, said the fox. As Naruto waited for the perfect moment, before he rushed forward. Before the ninja could even know what was going on, his throat was sliced. The other one as well. As Naruto saw the crimson liquid pour out, his eyes got memorized by the blood. Before the clone grabbed onto his shoulder, as Naruto looked embarrassed, the clones didn't have to have a demon fox talking in their head. The clone nodded to make sure that he was good before poofing away. I am not you, said Naruto. The fox simply laughed. As Naruto pulled out the key from the ninja, he went through three of them before the door finally opened. As Naruto's heart dropped when he found the little girl whimpering, bruises across her skin as she was naked. As he saw the insects all over her, now he understand why the Burmese were all about covering themselves. But that didn't really matter right now as he placed a hand on her shoulder. She didn't see the crow mask that showed him that he was one of the ninjas of her village. She saw someone coming towards her, so she started kicking and scream. It's okay, said Naruto. I'm from Konoha. She shook her head. She knew this was a cruel trick until a scent caught her nose. As she turned towards him, a beetle popped out of Naruto's head. Your friend's one of the main family members, she said. She looked up finally understanding. You're here to save me. Naruto nodded, although he wondered what the hell was a bug doing in his ear. Are you alright, he said, as he tried to tease the chain that she wore. She nodded. They took me away from my team and they wanted to, but they were scared of my beetles, she said. Naruto sighed in relief that nothing happened to her, as he removed the chains from her skin. I know every good Burman has their teammate's bug, he said. She nodded as he took his flap jacket off and placed over her. Thanks, she said. But what if I'm an ANBU, said Naruto, as he made a clone of himself. Now, where are those friends of yours? Tears started to pour down her cheeks. They killed my Jonin sensei in front of us, she said. The others, when they took me, they were still beating them up. There are a few rooms down to the right. I heard them screaming some minutes ago, but they stopped. Don't worry, I'll save them, said Naruto. As the clone turned into one of the enemy ninja, I'm going to transform into a Fuma shuriken, and you two are going to walk right through the door. A shuriken? Is that even possible? It's an item, she said. She had the thought she never thought about transforming into an item before. Of course, just don't make any noises. As he transformed the girl into a shuriken, the shadow clone picked her up and they walked to the room, none the wiser. As Naruto was about to walk away until the fox woke up. Are you really going to leave those dead ninjas right there? If someone finds them, they will sound the alarm. Yeah, I guess you're right, said Naruto. Idiot, the fox said, as he dragged them into the room where they would be harder to find. Then he went to search for Genins. As he came closer, his sage chakra was not picking up anything. They're dead, kid, the fox said. No, said Naruto. They can't be dead. He promised the girl that he will save them. They were just hurt. They can't be dead. He made his way as it was 4 adult chakra signatures inside. No kids. He heard talking. What do we do about that bug bitch? No one's gonna want to use that. We should just kill her with the rest of them. Send a message that blasting to Shikaki what we actually think about leaf ninjas. These ninjas were focused on the past. They lost loved ones, people they care about, and a piece of paper that's signed, a peace treaty could not make them forget. Guys, don't you think we went a bit too far? They were children. Children need kunai, another one said. If you can use a kunai, no matter what age, you're a ninja. Good riddance. I lost my son to a leaf ninja in war. It's about time they get a taste of their own medicine. Meanwhile, on the other side of the wall where Naruto was visibly shaken. Only once has he been so angry in his life, and that was when Hinata got hurt in front of him. These monsters. They were just children. As Naruto's body started to shake violently, the fox cloak exploded around Naruto. Every single ninja in the mine froze. One kick and the wall blown to smithereens. As Naruto stepped inside the room, like death itself, he saw the two mangled and bruised bodies lying on the ground, not moving. The earth shifted as the earth jutsu came down to squash him. Naruto moved so fast it seemed like he simply walked right through it. An inferno of fire shot past him, but he simply steps aside, like it was nothing. A tidal wave of water which he slipped under and appeared in front of his first target. The enemy ninja swung his katana straight towards Naruto. Naruto's hand that was covered in a cloak grabbed the blade as he slammed both hands together, stopping it. Naruto snapped the blade before he headbutted the man. The man staggered back, losing whatever sense of where he was. As Naruto turned and ripped his hand to the chest of the shinobi that tried to sneak up on him. As Naruto reached to the man and snapped his spinal cord and ripped it out of him, the man crumbled down to the ground. The wall then suddenly exploded as Naruto looked up to see several ninjas standing outside. They released several combo attacks with Naruto on the lower floor to burn him alive inside. The various other ninjas started to rush towards the scene as they wonder what the hell was going on in that monstrous chakra, and not to mention the explosion. The fire was slowly dying down where their comrades once stood, but to everyone's shock and surprise, Naruto stood there completely unharmed. As Naruto's eyes locked on them, they all knew that they were done for. In the rarest moment, Naruto and the fox were combined, as they both wanted to see these men get slaughtered. As Naruto jumped on top of the roof, and it was nothing but pure, utter chaos. Meanwhile, Naruto clone held a small Aberme girl in his arm as she clutched onto his shirt. He needed to get her to Konoha hospital quickly. He was worried about the bruises and the wound on her side. It might be affecting her breathing. He was moving so fast, he barely even noticed 3 ANBUs. Only when he realized that Ino knew some medical ninjutsu, she could have helped, but he did not stop. As he ripped right through Konoha, moving so fast he arrived at the hospital within seconds. Sakura! She needs to be looked at. Alright, Naruto, she said, as she looked towards the girl before looking up. When she looked up, she looked at a crow mask, as Naruto handed the girl over towards Sakura, who took the girl in her arms. She looked back up as Naruto poofed away. She hated when he do that. Time skip. The real Naruto returned. Report. As Naruto didn't want to be here, he wanted to be at the hospital to see if the little girl was alive. His mind kept on showing him horrible memories of those monsters. Report, Crow, said Snazzy, snapping him to his senses. At the time of my arrival, the Jonin and 2 other Genis were already dead. In his head, he was drowning in guilt. In his head, it took 2 days for him to arrive. In actuality, it only took him a few hours. But he blamed himself, he should have been faster. In his head, he blamed himself for slowing down, talking. He should have just rushed in and slaughter all of them in his path and get to the children and save them. What information were you able to gather at the base? The reason for the war is the peace treaty. The Souters are those who oppose the treaty and wish to continue to be our enemies. Snazzy frowned when she had talked to the Shikage. The situation had been watched over as insignificant. This was a problem. Not only that, if the Shikage found out that Konoha attacked his people, the Souters are not, the peace treaty can become undone. What are the details of the operation? Naruto calmed himself. I infiltrated the base, pinpointed the Aberme, and I safely rescued her. Then I went in search of the other 2 genin. They were already dead. You escaped without any problems? None at all, said Naruto. Did you get a number on how many ninjas were there, she asked. She hoped that Owl would get more information when he returned. Shizune was also there writing down. There were 334. Snazzy heard his choice of words. War? There were no survivors, said Naruto. Snazzy blinked at that. She had assumed that the mission had been a stealth one, with him getting in and out. 334, she questioned once again. Yes, I secure. The Aberme's safety before I attack. I deemed the stone ninjas a threat to our village. He had more than enough time to think about something else than I was angry. There was nothing but silence in the room, as Shizune and Snazzy just stared at him. Am I dismissed? He asked. Snazzy gave a slight nod, as Naruto quickly made his way off. She could hardly believe it. He had a problem with killing a week ago, and now he was able to completely wipe out so many ninjas. It would take an ANBU captain and his entire crew to wipe out so many ninjas by themselves. I guess he deserved a bonus, said Shizune. Snazzy nodded as she pulled out a bottle of sake. She was getting too old for this. Meanwhile, thanks to Tanaka-san, said Naruto, as he gave a wave to the wife and 2 children, as Tanaka stepped outside the house with Naruto. Are you coming back for dinner? Tomorrow? I don't think so. With what happened? The elder miner that was there with Naruto when he first arrived sighed. They had went in to catalog their work hours. when they found all the ninjas dead. They had heard explosions, sure, but it was ninjas. They do that kind of stuff and the mine was deep. And inside was very, very large. So they were none the wiser to the slaughter that happened. It is dangerous. I think I'm going to find work somewhere else. Tanaka nodded as he placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Good luck, he said. I'm an old miner and that's all I know what to do. But make sure you come back to visit. No problem, said Naruto. I will miss your wife cooking. It's too good, said Naruto. You know, my daughter's a good cook as well. Really? Well then, I'll have to try some of that, said Naruto. Tanaka sighed. He was dropping hints every now and then, but he seemed to just pass over Naruto's head. As Naruto waved goodbye as he made his way, as he poofed away in smoke after he was out of line of sight. Meanwhile, with the real Naruto, he sat in a tree as he watched a smaller mermaid recover. She was in the hospital. He was there when she woke up. He was there when the parents came, of the kids that died, and she was forced to tell that story over again. He could see how much it pained her. As she talked about how they were captured, the parents left in tears. Naruto was there when a group of Aburame entered. A woman, an insect user, rushed to the child's side and gave her a hug, a motherly hug. When she was finally given clearance to leave, Naruto decided to drag himself home, as he felt exhausted, not physically, but mentally. But he did not regret what he did because every time he tried to do that, he remembered what those monsters did to those kids, and how the little Aburame, what they were going to do to her if it wasn't for her bugs, and what she had to go through to tell the parents what happened to her friends. When Naruto finally dragged himself home, he realized that someone was in his apartment. As he stomped inside to find Kimi, sitting on his couch reading a book, the small child, around 4 years old, turned at the click of the door. Her eyes were pale, almost like a Hyuga, but she was halfway blind. What are you doing here, Kimi? Said Naruto. Where's your brother? He had a job, so he left me here, she said, as she flipped through the book that had pictures in it of kunais, and she could see the fuzzy images. So, you're the one who has my extra key, said Naruto, as Kimi nodded. What trouble has your brother got himself into this time? I don't know, she said. There was a knock. Got it yet, Kimi, as she flipped off the couch. She rushed towards the door as she opened it with a sing-song voice. Hello. The small Aburame stood at the door. Is your dad home? My dad is dead, said Kimi. As Naruto sighed, he walked towards the door. As he saw the Aburame standing there, her eyes went wide. Uzumaki Naruto? You're the one that saved me? I'm guessing that you bugged me, said Naruto. I hope you like ramen. The girl stepped inside. She looked around and a confused look came on her face. Before she came to a stop as she bowed her head, on behalf of the Aburame clan, I'm here to express their gratitude. On behalf of myself, I'm here to express my gratitude. My name is Moshe, Aburame. Naruto chuckled as he placed the bowls of ramen down. As he moved to shake her hand, Uzumaki Naruto. Whoa, food, said Kimi, as she jumped towards the table. Is she not related, said Naruto. I get a lot of visitors. I see, said Moshe. Do you really live here? It surprised me, she said. What do you mean, said Naruto. Not to be disrespectful, but a neighborhood full of junks and string-out ninjas. It's certainly not a safe place for a genin. It's not the best part of town. Uncle Shino had to escort me here. Why didn't he come in, said Naruto. Well, Uncle Shino, my mom still feels uncomfortable with the main family. She thinks that they're weird. They are weird, said Naruto to laugh. They're awesome, said Moshe, as she pulled her large cloak to her. She still couldn't believe that this man was the man that saved her and helped her out of that large mountain base. Naruto Uzumaki. She was shocked. How are you holding up? She lowered her head. I can't do anything right. My team was already considered dead last, and now this happened, she said. It's not your fault, said Naruto. Sometimes, bad things happen to good people, for no reason. But if there was a prodigy on our team, like Konoha or Hanabi, instead of me, maybe, they could have done something in our teammates. Their teammates would have survived. I lied to you, she said. I knew. My beetles tell me that they were dead, but I was hoping that maybe once they got something wrong. I was praying that perhaps they were just unconscious, in a near-like dead state. I'm really sorry. You could have gotten hurt if you went down there and something bad happened. It would have been all my fault. I'm really sorry, she bowed her head. Naruto smiled at her as he patted her on the head. She lifted her head slowly. I would have checked anyway. And you were really brave. I didn't do anything, she said. Well, I don't think I would have the courage to face the parents of my fallen teammates, said Naruto. Believe me, there's some ninjas that can do amazing things. Know the awesomest jutsus, but it takes a huge amount of courage and resolve to do that. As Naruto blinked, he sounded really smart today. As the girl blushed at that, thank you, Uzumaki-san, she said. I'm not the old man, said Naruto. Just Naruto, okay? Look at the turtle, said Kimi. As Moshi looked over, she saw the girl use the noodles to draw a turtle. Moshi didn't know how it happened, but here Aberami was, using noodles to make an animal. That was the kind of influence that Aberami had on someone. The door suddenly burst open as Naruto stepped forward, as he caught Tomu. He was covered in blood and bruises. As he looked up with a busted eye, I messed up, he said. It's alright. What happened, said Naruto. I was running drugs for Yamu's gang, but the dragons caught me and stole them. Now Yamu is mad, because I lost his merchandise, and he tried to kill me, and I used one of those jutsus that taught me an escape. They're gonna kill me. I won't let them kill you, said Naruto. But I'm taking you to the hospital. No, you can't take me there. Only dying people go there, he said. Normally, Naruto would not, but even he can see that he need more than a medikit right now. Believe me, I'm tired of hospital as well. He looked over at Moshi. I'm sorry to ask his favor, but can you watch Kimi while I'm gone? As Moshi sat back with a nod, as Naruto was gone in an instant, she then turned her head towards the girl in front of her. Does this happen all the time? All the time, said Kimi. Time skip, as Naruto was in the waiting room. Uzumaki, you're the one that brought in the boy, correct? Yes. Is he okay, said Naruto. Yes, he's been stabilized, but he will be in the hospital for some time. Naruto felt relief. When can I visit him? I'm afraid he's only family now, she said. But I am family, said Naruto. But everyone in Konoha knew that Naruto's an orphan. Can you please fill out this form, she said as she gave it to him. As Naruto sat down with the form as someone else came through the door. As the nurse walked away, he couldn't put down certain information because Tomo didn't want his sick mother to know that he was in the hospital. He left the cause of injury blank. He didn't think it was a good idea to write down running drugs. He then flipped to the back as he saw the cost of the surgery, emergency room costs, and the hospital fee. One of the reasons why someone decided to become a ninja is due to the lifetime pension that will be paid to the family in terms of a ninja's death. But that was just enough to live off of. His mother was struggling with cancer in the hospital. His father being a ninja in his death. The pension was given to the family, but it could not pay for her bills and including her sons now. As Naruto wrote down his bank account number, in one night the money and the bonus that he got from the mission was gone. Despite the nurse and her rules, Naruto visited Tomu. Meanwhile, with the two girls, as Moshi was reading a book towards Kimi, there was a heavy knock at the door. As Kimi looked around, that's not Naruto, she said. Don't worry, I'm a ninja. I'll protect you. As Moshi slowly made her way and opened the door, two large men that looked like thugs stood there. Where's Tomu? I don't know if it's Tomu, said Moshi. She had just lost two of her teammates on a traumatic mission. She wasn't scared of any thugs. Move aside, little girl. It is not my house to welcome you inside of. I cannot let you inside, she said. You little brat. He tried to punch her, but his hand was stopped as black bugs creeped up his arm. What the hell? The other one cried as more bugs started to swarm them as they ran, screaming through the streets. See? I won't let anything harm you, said Moshi. Meanwhile, the shy clone that was outside had watched the entire scene. He was gonna step in, but he saw that she had it all under control, and not to mention it boosts her morale. To know that she can still keep on being a ninja. When Naruto made his way back to the apartment, he almost had a heart attack to find out what Moshi was reading while Kimi was asleep. Why are you reading that? Said Naruto. As she looked up from the Ichi Tactics, from the cover, I thought it was a romantic novel. The plot is rather interesting. You're hardly old enough to read that, said Naruto as he pulled the book away from her. She blinked confusedly. I'm an Aberami. I know plenty about sex. After all, beetles, they mate inside of my body. I don't want to know that, said Naruto. Moshi sighed. It was so hard to make friends with people other than your clan. Come on, said Naruto. I'm gonna take you home. As Naruto created a shackle to leave with Kimi. As they started to walk through the streets, two thugs came by while you were gone. You took care of them, said Naruto with an innocent smile. Of course I did, but you could have done it as well. I already told you, you're strong enough. And you didn't need me, said Naruto. You're a ninja. Maybe I still want to be a ninja, she said. But I don't have a team or a sensei. They will probably give you a new one, said Naruto. When I lost some of my teammates, they gave me a new one to replace them. It was hard to get used to, but we decided to rely on each other so that we could stay alive. I was wondering, she said. I heard that you, El Konohamaru, became so strong. Could you teach me as well? Well, I don't really know much about Aberami techniques. Wouldn't it be best if you asked Shino? She shook her head. He's a main family member. They don't take on apprentices from the branch family unless you have huge potential. Well then, Shino must be an idiot if he doesn't see yours. Indeed, the potential of Mochi Aburami has been noticed by the main family, but she has not been selected as an apprentice. As Naruto looked up to see Shino, standing on the wall. Why not, you might ask? Because she needs more field experience. Really? Said Mochi in surprise. Shino motioned for her to come forward. As he looked towards Naruto, you have earned my deepest gratitude. Why? Because you have saved my talented niece on the enemy, and for exacting appropriate revenge. Naruto chuckled nervously. No problem, he said. As he waved towards Mochi, he then poofed away. Mochi blinked in confusion. Was she traveling like a clone the entire time? If that was true, then where was the real Naruto? Meanwhile, across town, Yuta, him and his gang that beat the crap out of Toma, they were all dead. As Yuta was up against a wall, his face being pressed into it by a crow mass. Please, I'll pay you anything. What do you want? Anything. All I want is your life, the mixed voice of Naruto Nikayuda said. And that was the last thing that the man saw, that crow mass, looking at him. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see this person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the notifications they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune for the rest of what is coming your way over in Making 2 and Making 3. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Making family. And thank you for all for your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new, I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we get the hell out of here? See you guys soon. Peace, yeah.
Remember the moment you left me.